Boring Review Nation, Gabe,
Nick,
and we are here today to review a movie I'm super excited to talk about. I tell you what, if I had saw this when it came out, when it was released, it might have actually bumped some of my top 10 for 2020. Check out that video, we dropped it a couple weeks ago.
Check it out.
Oh, for 2019, I should say.
Come on.
But holy cow, Article 15. Nick, what did you think about this movie?
All right, so I did a solo reaction to Article 15 when our YouTube channel was even younger than it is now. And it didn't get a lot of views, so I thought, okay, maybe people just don't really like this movie that much.
Right.
Later on, I found it was probably just me. It's more fun when there's more than one person. But when we did our top 10 video, like you said, check it out, movies of 2019, we had a lot of our viewers put in their top 10, and so many had Article 15.
Right.
And our first patron, Arjun, he's a huge, loyal viewer, subscriber of our channel. He mentioned, thanks a lot. He mentioned as like his number second film of last year. And so I was like, wow, if Arjun liked it that much, we got to definitely check it out. And it was on my Netflix. I just kept recommending it.
Right.
And I just kept thinking like, oh, no one cares. But what do I know? So little did I know that this is a really popular movie.
Right.
And so when I watched it in one sitting, which with our busy lives, I can't always do that. But I actually really, really enjoyed this movie a whole lot. There was a lot to it that was kind of, I don't want to say fast-paced, but there was a lot going on. And because I was confused at some of the cultural parts and some of the, obviously, Article 15, that Constitution, that law, some of it I was getting a little lost in, and so I had to rewind and watch it. And then I read the synopsis after I was done with it. And I was like, man, this is a really strong movie.
Right. And
one thing I noticed, and it was mentioned in one of the articles I read, that this is not a typical Bollywood Indian cinema type film.
No.
It's not about dance. It's not about song. It's not about some of the tropes that you see. I mean, this is based on reality. And I feel here in the States, in Hollywood, we have a lot of movies like that. And those are sometimes my favorite movies, the movies that are dramatic without being over dramatic or melodramatic. And that's what this film was. This director, his name is Anubhav Sinha. I read an article where it talked about how this isn't the first time he's hit a real type of, what am I trying to think of? Like a social commentary, like you say, something that's really going on in the world, especially in places like India where it takes place. And I just got to say, the lead actor, Ayushmann Khurrana, this guy, he was in Anadun, he was in our trailer reaction, and this guy is a super strong actor. Right. He did a great job. He was so composed. He was so, not overly dignified, but right. He was pretty stoic, but he did a great job. But when this guy got ticked off and he saw something that was not right happening, right. He was not afraid to show his displeasure. He just carried a lot of authority. I really liked him in this role.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, before we really comment on this movie, first of all, we're going to comment on the movie in and of itself. Obviously, there's a social commentary in the movie. We are Americans, okay? We're not versed in the caste system. We're not versed in what kind of racism there is over there. We know what's going on here at home in America, but ultimately, I believe that the message in the movie was important. So I love the message about it, about that. But with that being said, I think that the director was brilliant, because if you had picked or written this in a different way, then we really would have been lost. But didn't you feel like the way he wrote the character, since the character was almost not understanding the caste system, because he either, to my understanding, was raised in England, right? He went to like British schools or whatnot. It's probably, I don't know, Oxford or something to that effect. But he wasn't, educated in India, so he wasn't really familiar with the caste system. So as he learned about it, we the viewers learned about him. About it. So we went through the journey together, and it helped us understand, at least from this director's perspective, what the caste system is about, how people are treated. We don't know how true this is. We're just commenting on the movie. So, just want to make that clear so nobody gets upset at us. With that being said, I'm just like you. I think they did a great job. Let's just give a quick synopsis, basically, of the movie.
Very quick.
this new inspector comes into the small town, and one thing that, you know, the old adage, where there's smoke, there's fire. Every single Indian movie I've seen so far, one of the main tropes is police corruption. You know what I mean? So, as the old adage say, you know, but enough people are saying it, you know, and again, a lot of times, you know, art imitates real life. So there must be something to that. But there's this small police station in this area where this guy just gets transferred into, and they're even subservient, so to speak, to the caste system. And there was a crime that was committed. Obviously, they find these two girls. First of all, the girls are missing. They don't even bother looking for them because they're like, oh, they're from a lower caste. And then when these
girls always come back eventually.
Yeah, these girls always come back eventually. They're so nonchalant and dismissive about it. Then come to find out, two of the girls are found, and they're found hung. Was that not the most powerful image? The cinematography was amazing. Yes. There. Was that not a powerful image?
I was not expecting it, and then it just kind of, you know, it fades over, and then you see him in view, and I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty crazy. It kind of reminded me, not to get too far off track, but of the show Forgotten Army in the first episode, or maybe it was the second episode. You see the two main characters on a motorcycle, and the Japanese had put the heads of the different soldiers that they had just imprisoned and had beaten a battle hanging from this overarch on this little bridge. Right. And at first I thought it was shoes hanging, and then I looked back and I'm like, those are heads. I mean, it's moments like that are it's very creepy and it's very violent looking, right, but it tells everything you need to know just in that one scene. But yes, I agree. The cinematography in that shot was a great artistic shot. Right. But even when that happened, you have, you know, the police are saying, oh, you know, we'll get out of it. Don't worry. We'll make sure that the dads cop up, or it's probably their fault.
Yeah, it was the fathers. It was an honor killing. These girls were known to be loose or whatever. And the detective, again, excuse me. The detective, again, not being from this area, is looking at them like, how are you making this determination? What are you guys, clairvoyant or something? You guys just... You haven't even investigated anything. So for him, it's bothering him, and he's not realizing that they're already solving the crime because they're just part of the caste system, and that's how they normally deal with these situations. Make a long story short, he starts investigating the situation. He realizes it's not all, you know, what it's cracked up to be. These girls were actually gang raped.
There's a girl missing still.
There's a girl that's missing. Pooja. Yeah, exactly. And the cops in that precinct, for the most part, could care less. Well, how do you know she's dead? Well, nobody could make it through that swamp. How do you know? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where he was a great police officer, but because he was not coming in with any bias or any preconceived notions of what was going on, and he did what he was supposed to do, as opposed to everybody else. The majority of those other police officers in that precinct had, you know, their own biases. But then I like that they also showed at one point in the movie, and I don't want to give everything away, you understand why those police officers are there. Because I've never seen something like that, where there was two police officers driving and they literally got stopped. Their car got firebombed by like a group of like 10 dudes, and there's just two cops, and it's like, yeah, I have a gun. Well, we got guns too. And at one point, the cop, even one of the other police officers, says he will be transferred. We still have to live in this community. So it really shows you how powerful, I would say, the caste system is out there, and how powerful those traditions are out there.
Yeah, the thing I liked about this whole police force, as corrupt as some of them were, and others that kind of just went along with it because they didn't really feel like they had that voice to speak up. They weren't the guys in charge. The thing I liked about that is I felt like that mirrored real life in a lot of aspects, even the workplace. Obviously not rape and that kind of stuff, but in the workplace, if a certain culture is built and you allow certain sketchy or questionable things to happen, and it's just everyone does it, right, then you are going to accept that, and you might find yourself, if you're not strong enough or bold enough, you're going to find yourself falling into that and allowing those things to happen. And then let's say you get a new boss and they come in and they actually investigate, what are you guys doing? You can't do that. That's unethical. That's illegal. Whatever it is, you're going to really think about it and say, yeah, you're kind of right. But these guys, I mean, they kind of got into this caste thing where these people don't matter, these people don't matter, these people kind of matter, I'm above these people, but I'm below those people. When they had that whole conversation, he was trying to get information on the missing girls, and they're talking about caste, I'm this, I'm that, I'm below this, and he's like, what the heck is going on? And he doesn't say heck, he says something else, but I appreciate his frustration, because as a viewer, you're frustrated too. Like, we don't care about that. And for our viewers from India, we understand from many of the comments that the caste system is not really a prevalent thing right now in India. And thank goodness. We understand that a lot of it's in movies because it plays for a good storyline. But this movie was based off, some of the events of this movie were based off true events from 2014 to 2016. So there is some reality there, even though we understand that the caste system doesn't really exist in the majority of the towns and the cities in India.
Right.
But like you said, he's discovering these things. We're discovering these things. And it was a great journey to unfold all this information. Some of the information was very dark. Some of it wasn't. But to go on this journey with this character, to see, for me, I can always see the other person's side, the villain side. They did not, to me, seem like just the ultimate villain who had no motivation. There's, ha, 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 I want the world to burn. They had made questionable decisions, and they let it get worse and worse, and then they crossed that line that you should not cross, and now it's all about covering that up. And some of the police officers, they were ashamed, like the one guy who just ran in front of that thing.
That was a sad scene.
Other officers decided, like the main guy, I can't remember his name, but the chubbier guy, he goes to the man who was in charge of the girls as their boss or whatever. I can't remember what kind of company he had going on, but he was the one who they wanted a 3 ruby raise, and he wouldn't give it to him.
You're right.
I can't allow that stuff. And this cop who was corrupt, he went to him, talked to him about it, and then realized the best thing for me is to kill him so he doesn't rat me out and doesn't talk to me. I mean, he just went farther and farther, and I mean, it was incredible to watch.
I tell you what, it was super surreal, though, seeing some of those scenes where these are just little kids, you know what I mean? These are like little girls. And having a daughter, it was so hard for me to put myself in that position. And I tell you what, man, if I had saw it, definitely would have made my top 10 list. It definitely would have made my top 10 list. What I will say, too, is that, like you said, usually you got your main villain, and I think that what they villainized was the caste system itself, and what they villainized was the traditions, because people were also victims to it, even the people that are victims to these traditions, because this is just what they know. You know what I mean? It's like if you and I were raised over there, and this is the rules we've been raised from, how do we know any different? It's and like,
why would you question unless you're one of these awesome people in history that have the guts to question society? For example, if we worked at a workplace and I go my first day and they say, okay, you are less important to him, but you're more important than this person. And if everyone around me agrees with it and goes along with it, I mean, unless I'm a strong person, I'm going to say, okay, if he tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not as important as he is. I'll take my lunch after he takes it, but at least I'm better than this person. Right. And when you really think about it, I mean, it's ridiculous. But at the same time, we have that in our society today. It's called money. If one person has more money, whether they were born into it, whether they married into it, or whether they earned it themselves and they got some awesome lucky breaks and they worked hard, right. If you have that money, you automatically are at a higher status. And I'm assuming that's where it is in any country you live. And when you really think about it, what they have is paper. They have numbers on a computer screen. It does not say anything about their value as a person. But as society, we accept this person's rich, this person's famous, and so they're more important than I am. And when you really think about it, it's a crazy idea. But like you said, it's cultural. We accept it and we go along with it. And that's why I love, like you said, this main character played by Ayushmann, where he's in here as an outside party and he's just scratching his head like, what is going on?
We're both going through the journey together because we're both super confused. We're like, what?
But for this place, I mean, the good people, the bad people, the people in between, they understood. And I love the side characters, like his friend that he knew when he was younger. I think they went to college together or they went to school together. Right. And he sees him there. He's excited to catch up with them. But this guy knows that he had a part in it. Now, luckily, he didn't stay for the entire act. He left because he chickened out. Mm-hmm. But he was compliant at the first part. He sees his friend. He's embarrassed, so he's trying to avoid him. Not to mention probably afraid of the corrupt police who, oh man, I can get them in a lot of trouble. They're going to come after me.
Right. There
were so many small things I did not get the first time I watched it. And then when you get everything revealed at the end, I was like, wow, I got to watch that again. And I got to read some information because I think I missed some stuff. And like you said, it's a very powerful movie.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was one of those movies, much like Marriage Story, where when you're watching it, the whole time you're like, wow, this movie's amazing. But it's not something you want to keep watching. And the story just kept getting darker and darker, especially as he starts solving the crime and figuring out that there were actually cops involved. It's all based on this caste system. And then they send like this big, he's not an FBI, I think it was CIB investigators.
That's what we were both confused about. We were talking about Panicker is the character's name. He comes in and basically says, you're suspended. And then he's like, well, I don't have the evidence yet, but I'm going to get the evidence that what I'm saying is actually right.
Right.
And if you're going to suspend me, then that's kind of messed up. Who was that Panicker guy? I mean, what was his title? Was he like a, I don't know.
He was somebody of importance because you just walked into somebody else's police station and said, you're suspended. Yeah. And you almost saw the corrupt nature in there. And I'm like, man, this is so horrible. And then at the very end, they give you that glimpse where, you know, everybody's been revealed. Everybody that was involved either went to jail, ended up dying. The one guy took his own life or whatnot. The other police officer, like you said, because he actually showed remorse. But then we find the little girl. And it was one of those things where he did his job the entire time.
Did you think they were going to find him?
No, I did not. I
didn't think so either.
I thought they were going to find her dead.
And I was thinking, please don't let this be that kind of movie. I am a sucker. I like happy endings. I was like, please let them find her. And you can tell by the main character. And then the other people that are on the police squad and even the volunteers that helped out, they understood that they were in the wrong originally and they wanted to find her. And I'm so glad they did. Spoiler alert.
Without that, I tell you what, the movie still would have been great, but then it would have been another marriage story. Like, I don't want to watch this. Where, again, you know what I mean? I still would have given it high accolades, but it's one of those things where we don't want that kind of a depressing story. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, it probably would have been more realistic if they would have found her no longer alive. But thank goodness they found her. I really like the other really, really minor characters, like her sister, that was almost turning almost like an activist, and she was trying to find her voice because she wanted to help her sister out, and she didn't trust the police, and so she got some vindication. And then that last scene is so awesome where they find her, they're sitting on the side of the road, and then you have this lady from a different caste, and she's got food and water, and he's like, you know, I want to buy around for everyone waters and food or whatever, and they're kind of looking at him, and they just kind of laugh it off. Like, in the past, we wouldn't have accepted this, but we're hungry and we're thirsty. Why would we not take this?
Exactly.
Why would we not take this water? But that was a great scene because he asked her what her caste is after they have it, because I feel like he knows like what they're programmed and what they're used to.
Right. And
they had a nice little laugh. I thought that was a really, really nice touch. And I really liked a movie like this. You're not gonna have too many jokes, but if you have jokes, let's have them be clever jokes because this is a clever movie.
Right.
I love the whole thing about where he does get suspended, and then he contacts the home minister, which. I had to look it up. He's basically in charge of what we would call the executive branch. He's in charge of the police force, majority of the police force in the entire place of India, right? Or maybe at least maybe a certain state. But he calls the home minister, where he tells a story earlier about how he said it's cool or something like that.
And they couldn't believe it. They're like, you said it's cool?
How would you say that to this guy? He's such a high importance. And so he's calling him like, you know, I want to keep investigating, but I'm suspended. And he pauses, and I'm like, oh no, here it comes. And he says, Cool. That was awesome. that was a nice little payoff there. Yes. I think another character we missed talking about that I think was integral to this film and really taught you or showed you where he had his strength from and his perspective was the girlfriend. The girlfriend was some kind of like reporter or whatever, but she was woke, so to speak. Okay, she was not subservient to the caste system or even the traditions of that you know, women aren't supposed to be in the workforce or women are less than. No, she was very opinionated. She challenged him at times, and I love that. And she was, even though she didn't have a huge role in the movie, I think she always kept him grounded because. At one point, I almost felt like he was going to break. Like he was going to say, okay, I guess this is the way it is around here. And she challenged him like, no, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? So I thought that that was a great bit of writing there. Yeah, it was a good support system without having someone there like that he comes home to and that kind of generic thing where she's off doing her thing, he's doing his thing, but he's calling because he, you know, like you said, he just needs to have some sanity to him. But there was a lot of great minor characters. Like the housemaid who did the cooking or whatever, she was so proud to show off her cooking skills, and neither of the people, like, you know, I'm not really that hungry right now. There's lots of good small parts here, a lot of great characters, a fantastic acting, great writing, and it's okay if I don't understand everything that first time through. That means that it was really a lot of thought put into it where they want you to do some digging, they want you to do some figuring out. But overall, we love this movie. Or I love this movie. It sounds like you love this movie, so that's why I said
I
we.
did. It would have knocked Brightburn out. It would have knocked Brightburn out of the top 10.
So let's go ahead and give it a grade.
I give this movie an A. Absolute. I love this movie. I tell you what, I know sometimes people are uncomfortable, but just like Marriage Story, even if it's not something you're going to watch all the time, when there's such an important message behind it, you got to watch it. At least one time, you know what I mean? And there's been some movies here in America lately that are tough to watch, you know. Netflix has one that was really tough to watch. When They See Us, about the Central Park 5. But it's important to watch those things because these are things that happen. And again, until you can acknowledge the problems that exist, that's the first step to fixing it. That's the first step, acknowledging there's a problem. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. So for that reason alone, I give it an A. And man, I wish I would have seen it last year.
Before I give it a grade, I'm going to make you wait a few seconds. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video and you like other stuff on our channel. Been getting a lot of love recently. Thank you so much for that.
Much appreciated.
And a little disappointing because our boy Mo Diggs, he's got a great song out there. He's called Remy. It's on his YouTube channel. He's a new YouTuber that we love and support. And I was hoping that when we mentioned him in our cricket video that the views would go up, the subscribers would go up. Check out his YouTube channel. And if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe to him. Show him some love. But what do I think about this film? I think I'm going to give it a C+.
Stop it!
I'm just kidding.
Stop it!
I'm just kidding. They all turn it off. They're like, popcorn throw, tomato throw. No, I agree with you. I'm going to give it an A too. There's a movie like this, in this style of movie for me, just my taste and my likes, it's hard to give a movie like this an A+.
Right.
But this is a fantastic film. I wouldn't just say it's solid. It is a fantastic film. Great writing, like I said, great acting. I already went through all those points. For me, it's an easy A. Would it be in my top 10? I really, really liked my top 10, but I think something like Toy Story or Aladdin would probably get out of there to make this movie room for this movie.
Right.
So I think I would definitely put it in my top 10 as well. But there's our review for Article 15. And the last thing I want to say, we forgot to mention it, we did some research. What is Article 15? It's part of the Indian Constitution, and it's for equality for everybody. It doesn't matter what your gender, what your religion, whatever your creed, your caste, whatever that, everyone deserves to be treated equally and have the same rights. And so that's the tie-in with the title, Article 15.
And that was also a powerful moment in the film when he goes, prints it out,
puts on the billboard.
puts it on the billboard.
Yeah, that was awesome. Forgot to mention that. Good point. But we hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, then go ahead, like I said, like and subscribe. Check out some other stuff. And until next time.
Later.